deacon, a priest, and a nun were riding out east to go to a prayer meeting that we're going to attend together. They were riding along Sunrise Highway when suddenly a policeman pulled them over. The policeman went up to the deacon who was driving and said, "Excuse me, sir, why in the world are you driving so slow?" The deacon said, "Well, I'm going the speed limit." And he said, "The speed limit is 55 here. You were doing 27. So the deacon says, "Oh, you know what? That's what a silly mistake I made. But I saw so many signs that said 27, I thought that had to be the speed limit." The policeman laughed and said, No, listen, it's 55, so go on your way." But just about then, he also looked in the back seat, and he saw that the priest and the nun were shaking and trembling. And he leaned in the car window and said, "What's the matter with you guys?" And the nun turned to him wide-eyed and shaking and said, We just got off 135. It takes more than just looking at the signs to see and understand what they mean, right? And that's kind of what occurred to me when I was looking at this week's gospel story. We're all familiar with the story about the wedding at Cana. Like you just heard, the Blessed Mother goes to Jesus, "Gee, you got to help these people out. They've run out of wine at their wedding celebration." So he does. He turns the water into wine. With all of the amazing elements going on in that story, it's easy to miss the last line of that story, where it says this was the beginning of his signs in Cana in Galilee. And his glory was revealed, and his disciples began to believe in him. It occurred to me that it's really easy for all of us to miss the signs of God acting in our life. Miss the signs of him touching our lives and hearing his call as he comes to us throughout our days. It's really easy because we all live very busy lives, and we're usually caught up in the moment in either what we're doing right then or in getting ready for the things that we know that we have to do. It's really easy to miss the signs of him touching our life. I had that experience myself lately. There were so many things going on in my life, in my family life, here at the parish, and in the various communities that I'm a part of, that I really felt stretched to the limit. Now, a lot of these things that were going on were exciting. They were good things. But I'm not going to lie to you. There was a lot of challenges in there as well. And I felt like I had suffered a few setbacks, even. It really made me wonder whether or not I was being the person that God had called me to be. Whether I was doing things right or whether I was imposing my own will on the situation. So I prayed about it. And I asked him, send me a sign. Please, I asked for his encouragement and guidance so that I might be able to understand more what was going on, because I couldn't make sense of it myself. Later that same day, I got a telephone call from a fellow I know. Now, he had called to tease me because he had been to a party the night before, and he says, people were talking about you at this party, Bob. And we had a good laugh about that. We shared a good laugh, but he went on to tell me all of the positive things that they were saying when we were talking. I recognized that as a grace-filled moment, and the moment we hung up together, I gave thanks to God for answering my prayer, for sending me a sign I had been asking him for. And I also began to re-examine the events of the preceding weeks, and I realized something. I realized that I was so caught up in doing everything that I had missed many times that God had touched my life. There were the obvious times that were blessings. They were easy to discern. But I saw that even in the challenges, he was speaking to me. He was touching my life. He was giving me opportunities to do the right thing. Even if things are not going the way I think they should be going around me. Because really, that's what Christianity is about when it comes right down to it. It's not about us having belief to serve our own good. It's about practicing the things we believe for the good of others. The theologian Avery Cardinal Dulles wrote really eloquently about the church as the sacrament as a visible sign of God's invisible grace flowing into the world. That's the same thing St. Paul tells us about in the second reading today. He talks about each of us having a unique set of gifts that we're meant to share with the world around us. And that doesn't, just because he uses church language, doesn't mean we're only supposed to share them here in the community. We're supposed to take them into the world at large. Led by the Holy Spirit, we make the love of God, the mercy of God, and the truth of God present in the world today. The Second one of the most important documents of the Second Vatican Council was Gaudium et Spes, and it talked about the role of the church in the world today. It called for the church to scrutinize the signs of the times in the light of the gospel. And while the text and context of that document makes it sound very much like they're only speaking about the church as a whole, the truth is it's a classic Catholic both-and situation. And what I mean by that is they're calling on the church as a whole to look at the currents in culture and the events going on in the world today and figure out the proper way to minister to people. But they're also calling on the individual disciples to look at the events of their lives in the light of the gospel, to be open to seeing God coming into their life. So as we come to the Lord's table today, let's ask him to help us with that. Help to open our hearts to the prompting of the Spirit. Help to open our hearts to seeing his hand at work in our lives. For if we remain in faith, stay open to the motivations of the Spirit, and trust in God's plan, then I believe that not only will we see the signs of God at work in our lives more, but that we will be the signs of him at work in the world today. God willing, we will be able to not only help someone in their hour of need, but also be the event in their life that helps them to believe more, just like the disciples in today's gospel. See the sign. Be the sign.